The 20th century had some of the most intense espionage of all history. It is filled with stories of assassins who have gone to extraordinary lengths to eliminate their targets, often using methods so strange they seem plucked from a spy thriller or the mind of a comic book villain. So here are 6 of the most bizarre assassination attempts from the 20th century in no particular order. Number 6. Fidel Castro. Few leaders in history have faced as many assassination attempts as Fidel Castro, many of which were devised by the CIA. Among the most infamous was the plan to kill him with an exploding cigar. Castro was known for his love of fine cigars, and the CIA decided to use this habit against him. The plan involved creating a cigar filled with explosives that would detonate as soon as he lit it. Although ingenious in its simplicity, the scheme never moved past the planning stages. But it didn't stop there. Other bizarre plots to eliminate Castro included poisoning his diving suit with deadly bacteria, lacing his cigars with botulinum toxin, and even planting explosives in a conch shell near one of his favorite diving spots. While none of these plans succeeded, Castro himself joked about the sheer absurdity of it all, once quipping, "If surviving assassination attempts were an Olympic event, I would win the gold medal." Number 5. Georgy Markov. One of the most infamous assassinations of the Cold War involved Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov, who was killed in 1978 with a weapon straight out of a James Bond movie. Markov, who had fled Bulgaria for the West and became an outspoken critic of the Bulgarian regime, was walking across London's Waterloo Bridge when he felt a sharp sting on the back of his thigh. At first, he assumed someone had accidentally bumped into him with an umbrella, but what he didn't know was that the umbrella had been modified to serve as a weapon. Inside the tip of the umbrella was a mechanism that fired a tiny metal pellet into Markov's leg. The pellet was coated with ricin, a deadly poison. Markov became gravely ill and died 3 days later. The umbrella gun was linked to the Bulgarian Secret Service and KGB. Number 4. British officers. During World War II, Germany devised a sinister plan to target British officials using one of the most unlikely weapons imaginable: chocolate. The Germans developed a booby-trapped chocolate bar called the Peterson chocolate. These bars were filled with high explosives and designed to detonate when broken in half. The chocolate was made to look enticing, with high-quality wrapping and packaging meant to appeal to senior British officers. The Germans planned to smuggle the deadly confections into Allied territory, where they would presumably fall into the hands of unsuspecting military leaders. Fortunately, British intelligence intercepted the plan, and the exploding chocolates never reached their intended victims. Number 3. Richard Nixon. In 1974, a man named Samuel Bike attempted an assassination of U.S. President Richard Nixon with an audacious and desperate plan. Bike, a failed salesman deeply disillusioned with the government, decided he would hijack a commercial airplane and crash it directly into the White House. Armed with a revolver and homemade explosives, Bike stormed a Delta Airlines flight in Baltimore. He forced his way into the cockpit and demanded that the pilots take off, intending to carry out his suicide mission, but the plane never left the ground. Police surrounded the aircraft, and after a standoff, Bike was shot by law enforcement through the cockpit window. Though wounded, Bike managed to take his own life before the police could apprehend him. Number 2. Kaiser Wilhelm II. During World War I, British intelligence considered eliminating Kaiser Wilhelm II with a weapon as peculiar as it was British: an exploding tea set. The plan involved crafting a tea set that looked like a perfectly ordinary piece of porcelain, but was secretly rigged with explosives. The idea was to have it smuggled into Wilhelm's quarters, where it would detonate during tea time, a ritual the Kaiser reportedly enjoyed. The plan was abandoned before it could be executed. British intelligence deemed it impractical, and Wilhelm survived the war, living in exile in the Netherlands until his death in 1941. Number 1. Patrice Lumumba. The first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo was another target of Cold War assassination schemes. Lumumba was seen as a threat to Western interests due to his alignment with socialist ideals and his criticism of colonial powers. The CIA decided to remove him using an unorthodox weapon: poisoned handkerchiefs. The handkerchiefs were laced with a biological agent so potent that even brief contact with the skin could cause death. The plan was to deliver them to Lumumba's office under the guise of a gift. However, logistical challenges and disagreements within the agency prevented the handkerchiefs from ever reaching their target. Tragically, Lumumba's death came about through other means. He was captured by political rivals, tortured, and executed in 1961 with the support, or at least the tacit approval, of Western powers. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe.